Hello everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. We are at what I like to call DEFCON 1. Not because I think we're going to go to war, but because I think the need to be prepared demands that we be one step ahead of the game. The reason we need to be a step ahead of the game as preppers is because we're not on the inside. We need to understand that we better be planning ahead because we're going to hear about the bad shit an hour too late. So we need to be prepared ahead of that. So I'm always a little edgier. What one of my friends likes to call paranoid. So here we are, late Tuesday night, and I'm filming this on the hopes and expectations that nothing bad happens between the time when I record this and by time it gets uploaded and processed and then put down in front of you guys for a nice Wednesday morning hello. Now the reason I say we need to be in Defense Condition 1, DEFCON 1, is bad shit happening is imminent. I would say World War III, but World War III I don't think is imminent, but I think stupid is. I think bad things is imminent. So let's get into this a little bit more. If the United States were to literally go in and start bombing in Syria because a chemical weapon was allegedly used, would be completely mind-bendingly stupid. There has been no investigation. There has been no evidence provided. It is completely asinine to think that a few video pictures and reports from the scene would suffice as evidence, not only that it occurred, and occurred to the degree that they say it did, but that we know who did it and where the weapons came from. And there is, by the way, plenty of evidence of faked chemical weapons attacks. Faked chemical weapons attack with fake camera crews and fake actors, that is, crisis actors, laying in rubble, acting like they've been killed, faces powdered with white, and then they start laughing and get picked up, and then the camera, it's rolling, it's all there. They have faked this numerous times. So it's hard for me to believe that Trump is so stupid as to believe reports now. Let me go into this a little bit further. If a chemical weapon was used in this instance, both Russia and Bashar al-Assad would have to be retarded beyond comprehension by the non-retarded. That the United States just announced that we're going to pull troops out. And in retaliation, Russia and Bashar al-Assad are going to do something this ridiculously stupid? They can't even wait a whole week before fucking someone up with an illegal weapon system. Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they just go in and mow everyone down with tanks and machine guns? Certainly, it wouldn't cause people to go, chemical weapons, how dare you? Right? Because everyone is already using machine guns to kill each other all over the world, not just in Syria. So you're telling me if you believe Trump is that fucking stupid, and he would have to be that fucking stupid. I mean, he would have to be mind-numbingly, cosmically, galactically retarded to risk World War III in order to avenge an alleged chemical weapon attack against somewhere between 100 and 200 people after thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of Syrians have been bombed, killed, forced to become refugees in their country. Christians beheaded, not just men, but women and children. Beheaded on camera by radical terrorist Muslims. And now we're supposed to get excited over one fucking chemical bomb? Even if it were really done. And Bashar al-Assad came on the news and said, yeah, I did it, so what? Fuck you. You know what I would say? It's not worth the United States of America, 300 million of us, being irradiated, turned into permanent shadows against the sides of buildings by Russia and China if we go after Bashar al-Assad. It's not worth the risk. There is no reward. See, there's a big difference. There is no fucking reward for this. Macron, French president or premier or prime minister, whatever the hell he is, he can go fuck himself. He's standing up and crowing like a cock. Oh, if we see any evidence, I'm going to take unilateral action and retaliate. Go get back in your fucking hovel and hide, you little chicken shit. He knows they're not going to have any evidence, so he can talk big shit all he wants. It's this sort of grandstanding and stupidity that pisses me off. Now back to the U.S. Russia has talked to America via the media and said, you better not do anything in Syria. You better not go in and bomb anybody. You better not take any military action against Syria, or else. By doing that, Putin is not becoming a bad guy. What Putin is doing is taking the heat off of Trump. Because now Trump can go, well, you know, we're not going to do anything because if we do, we're risking war with Russia. And then Trump can say, do we really want to risk war with Russia without having a full investigation, a full understanding of what's going on? There is no need for immediate, stupid retaliation for something that looks, appears, smells like a false flag attack. Similarly, China said, don't fucking do it, Trump, or else. Now, besides World War III, nuclear irradiation, besides being invaded by over 1 billion screaming Chinamen, besides the Spetsnaz being turned loose on us, not to denigrate or talk down about our military, but I certainly don't want our military being put in harm's way to satisfy the ego of any politician. But by doing that, China says, hey, you better think about it. And Trump can say, we don't want to risk war with China and Russia if we take any retaliatory action against Syria. I mean, who the fuck would do that? To avenge the deaths of an alleged 150 people that we don't even know if that many people died, if anyone died? Once again, we saw rescuers going into a chemical and biological and possible nuclear arena. They don't know what the fuck was out there. Something may have gone off, and they show up with little plastic or paper masks. Unprotected. They could get nerve agent, biological agent, chemical agent, radioactive agents on them. They don't care. They're just going in there to pull out dead bodies. That's how important dead bodies are. It's complete horseshit. Nobody exposes themselves to that type of crap. Chemicals, pathogens, radiation, etc. No one does it. Nerve agents. I mean, what do? Fly a messenger canary through there and see if it can make it alive? It's completely asinine. But what Russia and China did in working with Trump, and I know they're doing this, by working with Trump, they're taking the heat off of Trump. He can go, we're not going in there. Not only do we risk physical war, but both Russia and China can retaliate economically. They can place economic sanctions on the United States and say, We're not trading with you guys anymore. Unfortunately, America needs China. They need us, but we need them. They own all of our bonds, right? They're our biggest sponsor financially, to use that word sponsor. They fund directly our nation by buying treasury bills. It's a way to quietly, I don't want to use the word secret, but quietly say we are trading partners and we are allies. If we are trading partners and allies with China and even Russia, because Russia buys treasury bonds, they buy US dollars. That funds our nation. It helps pay for all the little commies' entitlements over here in our country. Is the United States government going to jeopardize that? Basically, not only inviting war, but economic destruction to avenge a chemical bomb that was used in Syria. An alleged chemical bomb that allegedly killed 150-ish people. That's what we're going to risk? Now, I would love to say that we're all moral and good and we would condemn such actions, but to destroy our nation and to destroy our people is absolutely fucking preposterous. Now, that being said, as I said, 90% chance Trump is the good guy, 10% chance he may not be because bad things happen anyways and everything could fall apart and go, right to hell in a handbasket. This is where the problem comes in my opinion. There may have been a chemical bomb used over there. It may have actually killed some people, maybe up to 150 people. But who dropped it is the question. Who manufactured it? Well, were components made in Germany? Were some made in the US? Could some have been made in Great Britain or Israel? It doesn't really matter because we don't know who dropped it. Was it detonated in the back of a car? On the ground? In a building? Was it flown over in a small helicopter and detonated in the helicopter? Who knows? But it's the reason why it was detonated. Who does that benefit? It only benefits those who want continuing tension between the United States and Syria and Syria's allies, which is China and Russia. Who would want us? Who would benefit from continuing tension between the United States and never mind Syria? The United States and Russia and the United States and China. Who the fuck benefits from that? First off, who makes money? Military industrial contractors. Who get money because they sell rockets and tanks and bombs and missiles and helicopters and planes and warships. You think the fucking Navy builds their own ships? Those are built by private contractors. Airplanes, Lockheed Martin. McDonnell Douglas, if any of these companies are still around, right? Pratt and Whitney. All of these fucking companies have been bought up by each other, right? And I don't want to forget our good buddies, right? Raytheon Corporation. Now here's the deal. They stand to benefit financially from continuing tensions and escalation between Russia, China, and the United States of America. But who does it benefit with power? That would be the banks who finance these wars, who finance the government. And it is those very people right now that the United States, through the executive branch, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, is fighting them. Unfortunately, and this pisses me off, I don't get to be privy to it. I don't know who the primary targets are. I don't know who the secondary targets are. I don't know the strategy to get from point A to point B all the way to Z. I sure wish I knew that shit. It would fascinate the living fuck out of me to know who they're starting with, who they got the thumb screws on, who is rolling over, who is screaming like a little girl because they're going to be going to prison their whole life and their entire lives destroyed. So they need to roll over on someone else who's going to roll over on someone else. I want to know that shit. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll ever get to know any of it. And all I'll get to do is what I've always done, and that's glean little pieces from the outside. And get little pieces of the puzzle and put them together until I get enough that if I think really hard and look hard, I can see parts of the picture come into focus. And I've seen enough parts of the picture over the last 3 fucking decades to see that we're heading to shit hits the fan. And that's the risk, is that these pricks, the bankers, the politicians, and the military-industrial complex, which includes mercenary organizations. That's right, people who work for the highest bidder. Prince and associates. People like that, who will kill and maim, and they don't give a fuck as long as they get their money. There is no honor there. They're mercenaries. They're fucking mercenaries. They can call themselves government contractors. They can kill lots of people in secret, cool, clandestine ways. But they're just mercenaries. That's it. They're killers for hire. And they go in and train and create groups like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, ISIL, whatever you want to call them, the Islamic State. Basically, they go in and train indigent, tribal, nomadic idiots in an area and then tell them Allah says it's a great fucking deal for them and send them on in to start killing people. That's what's been going on there in Syria and other places. The real risk here is that something goes wrong between Russia, China, and the President of the United States. And they're not communicating properly, and something bad happens. Like a bomb goes off and takes out a Russian column. Or takes out a regiment. Or takes out a Chinese air base. And there are Chinese air bases. Their jets don't fall out of the sky as much as our new ones, I suppose. Regardless, all it takes is that happening, and then them, China, Russia, thinking that Donald Trump, the President of the United States, is the one who did it. But I guarantee they've got an agreement. I fucking guarantee it. Where if something bad goes happen, their job, their role is to call each other and go, hey, Vlad, hey, Xi Jinping, right? Hey, Donald, what is going on? Stand down. We didn't do this. But in the event it happens, there could be retaliation. Right? I can't imagine a battalion of soldiers getting hit and not returning fire in some direction. Right? I can't imagine, in other words, accidental collateral damage. What about spy versus spy shit, where someone on, say, the Russian side, right, their unit is infiltrated by a spy from the mercenary group who goes in and launches their weapons against somebody else to make it look like the Russians started something. See, all this has to be understood ahead of time. It's wargaming and war planning. And if their job, Trump, Putin, Xi Jinping, if their job is to understand that they don't want a war, that they don't want to risk their people, their nations, or their economies, or their military, they don't want to risk them because there is a rogue element that is not just in the United States and is not just in Europe, but is in fact in China, in Russia, in Central and South America, and God knows where else. that there are dark organizations, or a dark organization with many factions, whose number one goal is to disrupt continuity and unity on this planet, and instead foment hatred and war and violence so that bankers and their corporations can profit. So I've just gone through all of this shit. What's important here for you and me? We can watch all this shit on the TV. Just watch it all fucking day and all night. There's not a thing we can do. We can catch little pieces. We've got to use reason and logic in our heads. We've got to strategically think about what's going on with those people. It doesn't make a lick of fucking sense for Russia, China, and the U.S. to go to war over Syria. Even if it is about oil, it's not worth destroying our nations over it. So what or who would do that? Who is willing to risk it? Somebody who doesn't really own it or control it, but just benefits by it. Somebody who is afraid of getting caught for all the other bad shit they've done. So we can watch this stuff. But more important, we need to be prepared and understand that even though we know, we believe, we understand, we have calculated it, we have put it down, we've graphed it, done the odds, all the shit, everything. And know absolutely without an unquestioning doubt that Trump, Putin, and Xi Jinping all know that going to war is a losing proposition. It'll destroy the military, the people, the economies, everything. And risk human life 100%, period, with nuclear war. We know that they don't want to do that it makes absolutely no fucking sense, that it's mutual destruction on every level. So if something bad happens tonight, tomorrow, this weekend, we as preppers need to understand that it wasn't the Russians, it wasn't the Chinese, and it wasn't the U.S. We need to all understand that it was the fucking bad guys pulling sneaky ass shit. Even if it's a nuke on U.S. soil. Oh, I'll be fucking pissed. I'll be scared to death. But how would I know where it came from? Because Dan fucking Blather said so? Because Brian Williams, who I think not only fought in Afghanistan, but also went to the moon with Neil Armstrong. I think that motherfucker, if he says it was the Russians and the Chinese, then it must have been. Wolf fucking Blitzer, Lester Holt, Don Lemon. Give me a fucking break. These guys can't even spell their own names. If something bad happens, there will be death and destruction, and that is coming. That is for certain. There will be shit hitting the fan on little levels, many levels. What I don't want is Captain Caveman, Mad Max, what the fuck happened? It's over with. It's about survival from here on out. I don't want to see that happen. But it could happen, so we need to be prepared for it. And even if Trump and Xi Jinping and Putin are able to root out these fucking scumbags, there's still going to be trouble. They still have their minions who have no idea who is running the show. The bankers and corporations are fucking fascists. They're Nazis, and they even have Nazi lineage. If you do the homework, these fucking people are Nazis. They're fascists. Yet they use communists. These dumbass college kids that are raised in a communist system. They're being funded and they're being focused and funneled by the fascists to serve the fascist purpose, which is to divide and conquer. Right, to create division and strife between age groups and racial groups, to pit men and women against each other and black and white against each other. That's the fucking game they're playing. You see, they benefit by that, and if shit hits the fan, those groups are out there, these minions of stupidity. And as preppers, your first and foremost duty to yourself isn't to country, but it's to stay alive. You take care of yourself, right? You make that poor dumb bastard over there die for his cause. Your job isn't to die for yours. Your job is to live through it and protect your family, your children, your group, your community, whatever it takes, if it gets that bad. So something really bad can happen here. It can happen tonight while this video is uploading and it's a bunch of electrons in the air. It's in cyberspace. Or it could be tomorrow, the day after you watch this. Or it could be next week or next month. But odds are it's coming. Because Hillary Clinton and the rest of her clown buddies have promised scorched earth. And so our job is to be ready for it. To be well trained, well regulated. To have proper preparations. The right equipment, seeds, livestock if you can do that. Self-defense. You're going to need proper clothing. You're going to need everything. You're going to need books on defense. Go to the preparedmind.club if you haven't and check out our book selection on self-defense. And it will help you understand how to set a defensive perimeter, how to man it, how to lay out interlocking fields of fire, how to set up avenues of approach, how to do funnels, how to drive people into a wedge where they'll take themselves out. All of that shit is in there. Right? Let your enemy destroy themselves. Right? It's all strategy. That's just on a small level. And remember, when shit hits the fan, your world becomes as far as you can walk in one day. That's your world, and that's it. You're going to need to live in it. You're going to need to defend it. And I think these bastards will do everything they can to make that happen. And I don't want it to happen. So I'm praying that Trump really is as smart as I hope he is. And same with Putin. And same with Xi Jinping. They may not be the best guys on the planet, and I certainly wouldn't trust them with my life in their hands directly. At the same time, they seem to have done a pretty good job so far. Because they're confounding and scaring the living shit out of the FBI. So much so that the entire FBI is destroying itself in the eyes of not only the world, but the American people. They have damaged and now are destroying their credibility because they're absolutely refusing to comply with lawful orders from Congress to supply documents. They're disobeying orders from the Department of Justice to do as they're told. That's what's going on. They're willing to destroy that venerable institution for their own benefit. And that's just the beginning of what they're willing to destroy. So get prepared. The shit is coming down in a very powerful way, and you need to be ready. You need to go from John Q. Public to John Q. Don't fuck with me. I mean business. Right? In a snap of a finger, in a heartbeat. You get one phone call in the middle of the night. You see one news brief in the middle of the day, and you know the world has just changed into something else. That type of event can happen, and you need to be prepared for when it does. If it doesn't, hallelujah, praise be to God, we made it through that shit without that type of thing happening. But we know it's a very real possibility, so please get prepared. Because chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. I'll talk to you guys again soon. I hope. But I'm pretty sure I will. I have a lot of confidence that we'll make it through this. But bad things are going to happen. I'll talk to you soon.